Hi everyone, it's John Gualtieri here with this week's Power Shot. This week's Power Shot is going to be just a tad, not a ton, just a tad longer than normal because this Power Shot is going to be sharing something that's vitally important and will make you money, I promise. So I want to start with a story, a true story. A number of years ago, my in-laws were selling their home. I did not refer their agent. It's a long story. They had a connection with that agent. They felt obligated to use her. At any rate, they had a home inspection. Now, my father-in-law in his past life was a chemical engineer, a very analytical guy. And I happened to be at the house when their listing agent called post-inspection, and there was a stucco issue, which up in the Northeast where I was selling real estate at the time was a big deal. I mean, stucco, sometimes the whole damn thing had to come down and be restuccoed. At any rate, she's on speaker, and she just, it was a tsunami of words. She assaulted him with a tsunami of words. She was ill-prepared, horribly ill-prepared for the conversation. She was horribly unaware of the audience, right? An analytical person. She was horribly unaware of how she came off to people. I mean, honestly, she was a hot mess. So what that brought to mind for me, and I was just thinking about this the other day when I was talking to another client, was this whole idea of the rule of threes, the rule of threes. When I was in Toastmasters for many years because I wanted to become an outstanding communicator. And the rule of threes basically says when we're going to have an awkward conversation, when we're going to have a difficult conversation, when we're dealing with complex issues, great communicators chunk the dialogue down to three salient points. They simplify it. They talk about just three things, which keeps the conversation on track, enables us to prepare better, enables the audience to absorb the information better. So let me give you an example of the rule of threes. Whenever I wanted to discuss a price reduction with a seller, I would set the table. You always set the table and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the reason I wanted to get together with you all is obviously your home hasn't sold, and I wanted to dialogue with you about it. So may I ask you just a couple of questions before we get started? Question number one, rule of threes. Number one, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, has anything changed with your situation when you first hired me to sell your home? You were moving to Arizona. Has anything changed there? Dialogue around that. Number two, well, could you share with me your level of motivation right now? When we had first met, your motivation was pretty high to get down there with your family. And I'm just wondering if that has changed at all. Dialogue around that. Question number three, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, could you share with me why you believe that your home hasn't sold? So if you'll notice, I used the rule of threes and I asked questions. They were explaining to me, not the other way around. I didn't figuratively throw up on them with words. So today's Power Shot takeaway is whenever you're going to have a meeting where the conversation is going to be difficult, awkward, complex, use the rule of threes. It will ensure that you're abundantly prepared for that dialogue. So if you know anyone who might benefit from this week's Power Shot, please pass it on. And in the meantime, get out there, chop wood, carry water, and do it like you mean it. God bless.